Aparece su clínica cuando alguien pregunta en AI sobre quién es el mejor de sus especialistas en su ciudad.
Ya la gente no busca, la gente pregunta, la gente quiere respuestas, la gente quiere entender cuál es el mejor médico. Google no te da las respuestas. Por eso necesitamos inteligencia artificial.
Like gap between Google and ChatGPT is just getting smaller every month.
Bienvenidos al Manifiesto del Médico Emprendedor. Hoy estamos en nuestro episodio número 4. Este es un espacio donde hablamos de cómo las clínicas pueden crecer más rápido usando herramientas y estrategias digitales. Hoy estamos tocando un punto que es crítico y es un cambio que existe en el mercado que Jean-Marc y yo hemos estado viendo desde hace unos meses y años. Estamos bastante entusiasmados desde la aparición de ChatGPT y es que muchos de los pacientes en este momento, al igual que todos ustedes, ya están usando plataformas como ChatGPT, como Gemini, como Claude, para buscar los mejores doctores en Google. No solamente busca en Google, sino que busca en otras plataformas y Google mismo ha estado cambiando. Cada vez más la gente está preguntando directamente a estas plataformas de inteligencia artificial, hablando y están usándolos como asistentes de investigación brillantes para buscar con quién tratarse. Esto es clave para las clínicas que quieren crecer. Entonces, una de las grandes preguntas con las que vamos a empezar esto es, aparece su clínica cuando alguien pregunta en AI sobre quién es el mejor de sus especialistas en su ciudad. Si soy el mejor ginecólogo de Tijuana, el mejor urólogo de Monterrey, el mejor cirujano plástico de Ciudad de México, ¿salgo yo mencionado? Es una pregunta que yo me haría como profesional. Así que estoy muy entusiasmado de estar con Yamar, mi co-host y cofundador de este podcast, y quiero darte la palabra para que presentemos a Rokas, que es una bienvenida a Rokas también. Adelante, Yamar.
Súper. El mundo está cambiando, ¿verdad? Ya la gente no busca, la gente pregunta, la gente quiere respuestas, la gente quiere entender cuál es el mejor médico. ¿Por qué? Google no te da las respuestas. Por eso necesitamos inteligencia artificial. Necesitamos ChatGPT, necesitamos Gemini y eso es lo que los consumidores están haciendo. Se han dado cuenta que pueden recibir mejores respuestas preguntándole a ChatGPT que buscando por ellos mismos en Google. Entonces, para hablar de este tema, hoy tenemos a Rokas. Rokas es el fundador de AIClicks, una herramienta que mide tu negocio y cómo aparece en ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini y compara tu posición frente a la competencia. Te dice exactamente qué hacer para aumentar la visibilidad de tu negocio y la probabilidad de que cuando alguien le pregunte, mira, ¿cuál es el mejor ginecólogo de Ciudad de México? Boom, ahí salga tu clínica. Rokas se ha dedicado a enseñar a empresas y profesionales cómo navegar este cambio en la manera en que los consumidores están buscando la información que necesitan. Y hoy más de 12.000 personas lo siguen en LinkedIn, porque está resolviendo un problema de verdad, un problema que todos enfrentamos hoy. ¿Cómo hacer que la gente que nosotros buscamos proveerle algún servicio, ¿verdad? La gente que nosotros buscamos encontrar, ¿cómo hacer que nos consigan? Y hoy esto gira en torno a la inteligencia artificial. Este es el gran cambio que estamos viviendo. En pocas palabras, Rokas no solo entiende hacia dónde va el mercado, sino que ya va varios pasos hacia adelante. Y por eso tuvo la visión de crear AIClicks. Piénsenlo así. Si le pregunto a ChatGPT, quiero hacerme un control prenatal, ¿qué preferirías? ¿Verdad? ¿Qué preferirías? Si le preguntas a cualquier plataforma, ¿preferirías que te diga exactamente quién es el mejor y por qué? ¿O preferirías una lista donde todos se ven iguales? Al final eso es lo que estamos viviendo. Ok. With that said, from here on out, we're going to switch to English to make sure that everybody can follow along and to make sure that we can engage in this conversation with Rokas. Rokas, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much, guys, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here and like share a wonderful conversation on a topic that I think will interest a lot of your audience, my audience, and many other people that just are interested in marketing, sales, and like business in general.
Beautiful. Rokas, orient us a little bit here. What is the shift that you're seeing happening right now in the market?
Yeah, so I would say that right now, after like I would say for after 10 years, we have a yet new marketing channel that just appeared in the past couple of months or years. So I'm talking about AI visibility, about improving your positions in AI tools that like billions or millions of people are already using, and I think we are close to billions as well. that is like tools like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini, and right now all of the marketers or the business are thinking about how can they improve their current standings in like these AI tools. And why I say like a first change in like 10 years, because I would say that the last trend or the last cycle that we talked about was about like social media, that happened in the early 2010s, and stuff like that, where we come Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that. And until very very now, this field of marketing was really like standing at the current phase. You had like Facebook ads, you had like Google ads, you had like UGC content and stuff like that. But for the past like couple of years, the shift is trending more to AI search as well.
Why is it that the shift is trending towards AI? What was inadequate about search that is now solved by AI?
Well, I would say, when ChatGPT came, it was like the fastest growing tool of like all time, it generated a lot of traffic, interest, like the whole startup ecosystem like exploded, just after one tool, that was created as purely as experiment, OpenAI, the team behind ChatGPT, they just wanted to test this new technology that they created, to get like initial feedback, and they didn't expect nothing, after it. And when it exploded, the current like landscape of many different fields, exploded. And the main reason behind is, of course, its popularity. Right now, like millions of people are asking AI a different type of question, from email generation to recipes to personal planning to, of course, really uh, different type of questions related to business, their life, and when people are asking, when people are searching, of course, business and people want to be in these responses.
So help me put this into perspective. What are we talking about here in terms of scale? What is ChatGPT search? How big is it?
Yes. So right now you cannot say like exact numbers, but I could say like a couple of different data points that might guide you, in this direction. So uh, based on like different charts, you could say that Google search engine is generating between like 12 to 20 billion queries per day, So in comparison, ChatGPT gets like 1 billion search. That is like confirmed traffic from OpenAI CEO, Sam Altman. So you could say it's more like 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, it depends on what data you look. But what's also important is that, not all questions that we send to ChatGPT is search related queries like we do that in chat in Google, So maybe I'm asking like generate me an email for this particular topic or a podcast outline or stuff like that. So, this the questions that we send to ChatGPT is not always like search oriented. So that's like that number might be even bigger, no? But so you see like that still I won't say like that, there are a lot of panic right now in the market that say like SEO is dead, Google, no people are using no Google, stuff like that. So this is still not the case, but the trend is really in a sense like shifting, and I think more and more people are exploring AI tools, and that like gap between Google and ChatGPT is just getting smaller every month.
So, okay, the 1 billion from ChatGPT, this is just ChatGPT. We're not counting
Yes.
Perplexity, we're not counting Gemini, and we're not counting Anthropic.
Yes, that's correct. But still, I would say like from the data that we're seeing, from the data that like is publicly available for like marketing intelligence platforms like SEMrush and Ahrefs, ChatGPT is still the biggest. But you're correct. We cannot like I don't have like all data, based on like all of these tools like Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, and stuff like that. I would just say that still like the most popular search AI search engines would be like Gemini, would be Perplexity, and of course ChatGPT. And from our own, like client data that we see like the most fruitful conversation, the most search oriented, the most business oriented conversation still happen in ChatGPT. So that's like the most important tool or platform that you should optimize for. Of course, it depends on the context, on the brand and niche, but that's the thing that we see.
And how is it trending, right? Like, how do we see? I want to just make sure that the audience understands why this is going to matter for them, right? So today it's 1 billion versus 10 to 20 billion for Google. What is it? What does it look? How is it evolving? How is Google evolving? How is ChatGPT evolving? Why should we care?
Well, at first, I would say that, when ChatGPT came, like a lot of these big brands, I'm not only speaking like about Google, but many others like Microsoft, like like Twitter itself, X and stuff like that, because of personal reasons, we all saw that, we are getting beaten by OpenAI, by ChatGPT, and of course, like platforms like Google are implementing a lot of AI stuff right now, like copying like ChatGPT creators and stuff like that. And even if you don't care about like ChatGPT, Perplexity, if you say like that classical SEO is still my go-to marketing channel, still you will see that Google is changing the game rules, and they're introducing AI mode, they're introducing AI search units, engine AI summaries, AI overviews, and stuff like that. And you cannot like get behind this AI trend, no matter what you want to think, because all of these platforms are moving to AI first direction, where AI is summarizing content, AI is giving you recommendations, AI gives you like personal suggestions and stuff like that. And you need to optimize for a world where people are searching information for AI visibility, because people are fed up by reading long type of articles. We are fed up with ads that you put into like first pages of Google, and people don't want ads. They want like unfiltered user generated content. They don't want to waste time reading it. So that's why AI algorithms reads that content for you. It transcribes the most important points for you. It gives you personalized recommendations, and you can free your time. You could like ask questions and get answers instantly without any ads. And most importantly, of course, one of the points that I could also add is that like like technology field in general is changing, because more and more interfaces are moving from text to voice, for example, and when you ask like something in voice, of course AI will cite or summarize some content that you created, some content that you got, because the mean of communication requires that as well.
Yeah, people don't want to read. People's attention spans are shorting. They just want the answers, and AI just provides the answers. And even I just want to recap what you said because it's really interesting. You said a couple of things. First, the existing platforms that we're used to are incorporating AI. So whether it's a new platform or an existing platform, everybody's bringing in AI. Second, AI doesn't just, isn't just like something that you play with, that you talk to. It's going to start influencing purchase decisions. It's going to start influencing behavior, because all of a sudden the information is being summarized. The way that we consume information is being filtered through AI, through an AI summary, right, of some sort, because we don't want to read anymore. It's not convenient. That's really interesting. So it's something that cannot be ignored. What does it mean for business?
At the like first layer, you could say, of course, it means a lot, because people are searching information differently. So like the marketing that existed before, it was mostly, especially Google marketing, SEO, the classical SEO was about education, about giving guidance, about giving like recommendation and stuff like that. And like in a year or two, everything changed, because now people are not reading like WikiHow articles on how to change the tire. We don't ask, we don't Google, how to find the best shoes or stuff like that. We ask AI recommendation, the same AI that already analyzed hundreds and even thousands of articles. It read the best customer feedback from Reddit, Trustpilot, and stuff like that. We read all the websites in the niche, and they give you and summarize give you a recommendation based on your needs. So basically, how people find businesses, how businesses get leads, is changing, because right now more and more people are coming to business website, more and more people are buying from the businesses that stands at the top of AI search, that AI basically recommends the most. It can be the clinic, the local clinic that you want to visit, next Monday. It might be the best shoes. It may be the best CRM for small business. It totally depends on the use case, or your niche. but the leads and the business like process, the funnel that existed, that was very structural for the past decades or years, it is changing, because before you could very clearly see the funnel, how people are finding information. Right now, we have a black box of AI that gives you recommendations. For people that come to your website, you might not even know that it came from AI recommendations, but that's how marketing works right now, how the sales process evolved.
In the past, the steps for a business to be found by a consumer were very straightforward. It's you get to the landing page, you click on a thing, you get on the WhatsApp, you start chatting, or you get an Instagram ad, you click on the link, right? You know exactly what the ad said, and then it gets you to your website, and then that gets you to your WhatsApp, and then you start talking to the leads. But today, the way that AI decides this business, you asked me this question, I'm going to talk about this business because I think based on everything I've consumed in the entire internet, this is the most relevant for your search. That algorithm is a complete black box. Mark Andreessen said software ate the world. And then Jason Huang said, this NVIDIA CEO said, yeah, but then AI ate software, right? So what is it that businesses can do to kind of steer this black box to their favor?
Yeah, so AI visibility optimization, AI search optimization, geo generative engine optimization. There are a lot of different buzzwords that talks about how you can improve your AI visibility in ChatGPT, Perplexity, and all the tools. So you could
What does it
think of
mean?
it
What does AI visibility mean?
yeah, so AI visibility, it's still a very new field, we're working in it on the go, it's for a past couple of years. This market is only for a past couple of years. So basically, there is no hard word, hard phrases, hard summaries of things, of concepts that we are speaking about, but more broadly speaking, AI visibility is how well your brand is seen in AI engines. Of course, the most popular ones is ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. So basically, how you're seen, and if you're what's the volume behind your visibility, in all of these AI search engines.
I just wanted to bring this back because I think talking to the owners and the doctors of Mexico and Latam, most of them they've missed what we're talking about. Like they're seeing patients, they're handling business. Or some of them they have agencies, and they have a very busy life. Rokas, I wanted to ask you a specific question. Let's say tomorrow you open your eyes and you're a Mexican plastic surgeon. You haven't seen a laptop in a while. You've only seen patients, and you see this podcast and they tell you, okay, Rokas, you have your brain. You remember things from your past life in Lithuania and your startup, and they have an agency. They're paying, let's say, $2,000 in marketing agency. Everything is working. Everything is happy. They're making money. They're having reviews. They're having all the methodology for clinic growth. And there are three guys that are telling you in a video, things are about to change, and you should be prepared for the change. And they are old enough to have been around changes. They were in the place where they had somebody told them before, you have to have a website, you have to have reviews, and they did this. They know how they have to change, and they want to be not only become the leader, but also improve the distance between their competitors. What would be your playbook on how to change things? Because it's hard to change things that are working, right? And you have to be prepared strategically. And only Jean-Marc was quoting Mark Anderson. I think this is an Intel guy that says that only Andy Grove, only the paranoid survive. And I think we're in a place where if you're paranoid about AI, you're going to be correct. And I was asking, my question is, what would be the specific things that you would be doing in order to achieve dominance on the AI space?
Yeah, well, very great quote. I like it, and I think I'll grab it for my future reference as well. The steps that I would take is, of course, the first one is just basically audit your site and seeing how you're doing. You cannot fix anything if you don't understand the current situation and how you're doing. So And what do you mean by audit? What you can actually do is basically think about your ICP or ideal customer, what type of questions they might ask for like ChatGPT, for Perplexity,
I'm
for
just
Gemini
going to
and
pause
stuff
a
like
little
that.
bit. ICP for doctors and clinics is the ideal customer, the person that you want to connect with. Just continue.
Yes, correct. So what your customer, that would ask for some local clinics in your area, that for your specific like niche clinic, what they might ask, what's the best like what's the best like plastic surgery, for women under like 30 years old or something like that. What type of questions,
Mhm.
these type of people might ask. There are hundreds and thousands of these questions, and they pretty much work similarly to the already existing Google keywords with a simple twist. Of course, you cannot know for sure what type of questions the people are sending because ChatGPT is not Google. We are not sharing what type of questions you are asking, and the same goes with all the AI tools like Perplexity, Gemini, and stuff like that. But still, you might get some ideas from your Google keywords. So that for them you are tracking and optimizing for, we are usually making an educated guess that the same situation might apply with AI tools as well. So what your question, like what your customers are asking, the first step for you would just be to generate like a list of 20, 30, 50, 100 prompts, that you should check and see how you're doing in these responses. If you're being mentioned, maybe your competitors are being mentioned. What type of content AI gives you? So what sources, what URLs, what blue links AI gives you when speaking about the topic. So for example, it might give you like a Trustpilot review, maybe some directory of local clinics in your area. And if you're not there, if you're not being referenced in this particular URLs or websites, of course you won't make into AI list. So the first step for you basically just check what type of content really is popping up, what's the most popular one, and based on that, create your own action plan. Consult with like specialist agencies or do it yourself, like using any software that you would prefer.
Does that mean that you need to rank well on blue link searches, on Google searches, in order to qualify to rank well on AI searches?
Yeah, to be clear, AI doesn't have like its own search engine per se. So of course, whenever it gives you recommendations, it just summarizes and aggregates the data that it finds on the internet. But the difference between, like, of course, some people are saying that of course, you just need to do SEO, you just need to do Google optimization and you will be in AI search. And this is a false assumption because there are multiple cases where like websites from the second, third, fourth pages are ranking number one inside ChatGPT and vice versa. People that are already doing like really good on ChatGPT, we might be at the bottom positions in Google. So this one connection is not direct, and still there are some overlaps. I would say, like 60-70% of overlaps. There's like overlap between like being really doing great on Google and you doing great on AI search, but there are multiple tweaks, techniques, and stuff that you could do to optimize for. So, for example, I already mentioned a bit about user-generated content like UGC and the websites like Reddit, like Trustpilot, like G2, like Quora, Medium.com, and all of these websites where basically users can generate reviews, uh, generate some comments about particular businesses and recommendation and stuff like that. And each and every like niche also has like own internal forums, internal directories, where you could leave reviews and stuff like that. So AI really loves to cite these type of recommendations and reviews in order to give a personalized recommendation for the end user, for a person that is asking this question. So even though these are not like really, in most cases, it might be not even reference in Google in top positions, but AI just search for reviews, search for recommendations, and based on that we analyze. So there are multiple things that are interconnected, and Google Blue Links is just just a part of a puzzle.
Do you want to take this to a practical road and see
That's
See,
exactly where I was going. So,
let's do
okay,
it.
if I want to put this into practice, I'm a clinic owner. Um, First, how would I even go about figuring out how I'm doing in AI right now, if I'm being recommended or not?
Yeah, so is this a place where I talk about AIClicks or not really?
I
Yeah,
mean,
let's do it.
what makes sense?
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, I could share my screen and like go to the
Yeah,
tool.
show us.
Yeah, of course. So one of the things that I would recommend, of course, and I'm a bit biased right here, but I would like try this tool called AIClicks, where you could basically add your own website and get this audit for free, and the end result, and the end result of this uh, analysis or audit, as you could say, would be your own brand visibility report, where you would just see how you're doing, what type of competitors are there,
You
what is
took my
your,
clinics. You put my clinic in there.
yes,
Doctora
yes,
Juliana
again,
Vallejo. I love it.
I'm a mastermind. I just read your thoughts. Sorry for that. That's what,
That's
yeah,
great.
that's
So,
another skill
so,
that I have.
so walk me through this. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the first step for like the end result is the visibility score, your benchmarking against competitors and all the stats that you might look in and based on that optimize for. But the first step that we would do is basically generate a list of potential prompts or keywords, that are the most critical for us, And so we just added your website, your clinic, as an example of how we could do this analysis. So basically, we added just your website URL and our own internal AI algorithm and search engine basically generate a list of potential questions that your ideal customers might ask. And it's just like a 10. You could add multiple of these. I just added some of the most like frequent ones that I saw. So for example, best gynecology clinics in Costa Rica, obstetric services in San Jose, and best
So
quality gynecologist.
does that mean that my clinic shows up 3 times on that prompt? What is it? Or it shows up as number 3?
Yeah, so it's like your average position, in these particular questions. So how, like we get like a lot of data. I will zoom out a bit, so will get like average position, your average brand sentiment, your mentions, how many mentions did you get? How, like, what are the sources that I cite you on your visibility score? So how do we get this data? Basically, we send this particular question, best clinics, gynecology clinics in Costa Rica, and we send these questions to different AI search engines, so Perplexity, Gemini, and ChatGPT, and see how you are doing in each of their response. So you get the data. If you are mentioned, what's your current position and like how you're doing. So we basically send this particular question, and we aggregate the data from 3 top AI tools, so like Perplexity, and we aggregate all of these data. We do the
So
same in Gemini.
there you can actually see which are the sources that the AI read and summarized in order to get you this response.
Yes, that's correct. And based on that, you'll be basically be able to prioritize what type of sources you should optimize for, what are the most popular ones,
Okay.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. So just taking this because I know surgeons and I know doctors. They're going to tell me exactly what to do in order to achieve this. So my response, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be number one, buy AIClicks or do the test pilot on AIClicks or any other competitor that you like. But this is the one that we're going to present today. Second, put these prompts, and third, reverse engineer, see what are the things that are popping on number one, and from there reverse engineer or create a hypothesis on what brings the success in number one, and
Uh,
from there
I
produce
wa-
number four, produce things that are better or are more patient oriented or are more designed for the person that you want to be picked for, the person that you're going to serve for, and do that.
I
uh,
want to hear this. I want to hear this from Rokas though. Like,
yeah,
what are some
yeah.
what are
What are the
some
things? Yeah.
concrete, like 2 or 3 things that a clinic can do to improve their score in AI search?
And tell me if
Yes,
I'm wrong.
wonderful.
Like, this sucks, Roberto. This is the exact thing that you have to do.
Yeah, so I totally agree with what Roberto said. I would just expand a bit, on what the exact methodologies you would perceive. So basically, like in this current situation, for this particular clinic that we are analyzing, so some of these, like you already see that you got like some position. So that means that for this particular query, you are mentioned. But there are like multiple of those that you are not mentioned, for queries like gynecology with international training, alternatives to one of your competitors, of like another prompts, where you are not mentioned. So basically this is a signal for you that you are not doing well. Your visibility score is 0 right here. So that means that you need to optimize for these particular questions that users might ask, but you are not creating content around, and basically it means that you should create content on your website, on your social media, because AI already cites it and gives you analysis, based on your Instagram, LinkedIn, Reddit, and all the social media channels as well. It means that maybe you're not doing off-site SEO. That means you're not being referenced by authoritative sources outside your website, and there are a lot multiple strategies. I will cover some of those like real soon, but mostly like the first step for you would be just see for which particular prompts you're not doing well, and based on that, you will need to create content because AI cites content, whatever you call it, it might call like social media content, it might be your own website content, it might be like industry reviews, like listicle type posts, where basically some companies are listing like the best clinics in this particular city. We call it directories for like our listicles. So the first step for you is just decide what prompts you're analyzing and seeing if you're doing correct. The second step for you would be just go to sources tab and see if and what AI search engines, you're doing most like best, so you will check how you're doing inside ChatGPT, you will check how you're doing in Perplexity and Gemini, and see what particular tool you should optimize for. So that's the second step. The first step for you would be just go to prompt view and see what URLs or what sources AI gives you in each and every response that you get from. So for example, for this particular query, gynecologist with international experience in Costa Rica, Perplexity gave you like these 7 or like 6 articles. You just go one by one and see what type of content it cited. So as you see, like this particular case, it's like a directory, of doctors in this particular niche. So that means that you should try to make your brand appear here as well. To insert. Sorry, maybe it's not directory. Maybe I'm wrong.
This is a hospital.
This in particular is a hospital, but it looks like there's some articles in there. It looks like there's some directories in there. Why don't we look through the sources real quick?
Yes. So basically, in this particular case, I will fix myself. So basically, this is a hospital, but it has like a separate page with its doctor, explaining, what like how she's doing, what type of treatment she has, what are her education and stuff like that. That means that AI picked the source specifically because, it found that this is like the best gynecologist, because it has maybe the best experience, maybe her education is the best or something like that. So it means that you could also follow the same strategy, and inside your own website clinic, you could also have like a separate doctor pages where you would describe each of your professional, giving like the praise for them, because of course AI will pick the best one. So if you just praise yourself, AI wouldn't understand it. It will still recommend you. If like the business A would say that the business A is the best in its niche, AI doesn't think that it sounds strange. Just reference this as a source. So the same happens right here. In this particular case, that's like one very actionable step, and I think Roberto would agree that you might do. And you would do everything the same, with different sources, and see what type of content your competitors are creating, what they are doing, and of course they are doing something well because AI sites. AI gives some answers based on these queries. So that's like the first step would be just to go through the sources and see how you're doing, what type of sources there is, and based on that, you would just generate your own action plan and see how you're doing. If it might be SEO, it might be other information. So that's like the steps that I would give you. And you will, to better prioritize, you could do that like one by one and see how you're doing in each. We also have like this functionality will basically could filter down by the most popular domains. So basically the domains that were cited the most. So in this particular case, this is like a website like holyhealth.com, some Google Maps, so you will see like the google.com, but basically what it means is that AI analyze or search for Google, like gynecology clinics in Google Maps. So that means that you should really optimize for like your Google Maps present to just make sure that your business is well reviewed here. It has like the best reviews. It has like the correct keywords in here, because based on that, AI gives its recommendations. And even here you will see like the exact particular query, that AI sent when it got like this particular Google Maps profile, so you will just go by top domains and see if you can make your brand appear. So for example, in this particular domain, magazine medical tourism, it was cited like 14 different times, and that means that you really need to make sure that your brand, your clinic is mentioned somewhere around, because AI cites it, and based on that, it gives you all of these summaries, so
This
sites
is
that will
useful.
get a lot of.
So this is useful. Like if you just like scroll down just a little bit, you can see the types without opening it up, just seeing all of them. Just like uncollapse number 3 for a second. Let's just look at all of this, right? So it's Huli Health, Google. I can do things about that. I can create a profile on Huli Health. I can request reviews from my patients. Some of these Reddit, right? They depend on patients putting reviews, which is telling me AI is basically analyzing all of the information that exists on the internet. It's looking at what you say about yourself. It's giving that a certain weight. It's looking at what other people say about you. And with all of these things together, it's saying, this is what I believe to be the best recommendation. Is that a good way to sum it up?
Totally correct. Yeah, basically, like if I would just summarize what I would say is that you need to dominate the internet if you want to optimize for AI. You need to be everywhere in different sources in your website. You need to optimize your website, your offsite like content. You need to be in directories and social media, and be with like the best possible reviews and content and most helpful content for your users.
That's very interesting what you're saying, Rokas, because when Jean-Marc and myself, we started working together in years ago, one of the things that we did together, he was my client, was we started doing a website. We have very beautiful pictures of our specialists. We started doing a lot of things methodically. But one of the things that we did was we dominated one channel. We were the best in Google Ads and then reviews. And then we shifted from other places. And one of the things that people used to do before, I think this is a change of what you're telling, is dominate one channel, one procedure, and become the best in it. And it can become a money printing machine. Right now, I want to ask you, it's a different ball game in the sense that you should aim to be everywhere. But like you should be not only optimizing your website, but your brand mentions, being mentioned in the newspaper or in a directory of a hospital. That's going to bring a lot of things. Do you agree with this, Jean-Marc and Rokas, that it's a fundamental shift on how to do this?
I think partially, not fully, because you still, if you dominate a specific niche, we spoke to Dr. Yes, right, last time. Dr. Sierra, plastic surgeon, very successful. He dominates one procedure, right? He dominates, the mommy makeover, right? And he's the best in that. So if I can get my website, every news article, every Reddit thread, every user comment, every directory comment to agree that I'm the best in that, and somebody asks ChatGPT who is the best in mommy makeover, you can be sure that it's going to be that guy, right? So I think that if you try to spread yourself too thin, right, and try to do too many things, yeah, like you'll be in a lot of places, but are you going to be, is the model going to understand that you're the best, right, in anything? I think what Roka says, I have an opposite reaction, which is it's very overwhelming, right? Because all of a sudden you need to dominate everything. I don't think anybody can dominate everything, but I think what you can dominate is one very specific niche. And if you can
Yeah.
dominate that specific niche across all of the internet, then you won.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think I'm going to clarify. What I'm saying, it's something it's complex to communicate, which is you have to be obsessed at the people that you're serving, be the best at it. But before, Jean-Marc, when we were working together, we could aim at dominating one channel with that. Just be the best in, I don't know, vasectomies, and be the best in every channel, and then you're going to dominate. But right now, like if you were the best in Google Ads and vasectomies, you would have a successful clinic. Right now, that is not enough. You have to be focused on doing strategic and being the best in many channels in order for you to be successful in the long run. Do you agree with
I,
this, Rokas?
I I think a good analogy, I want to hear Rokas' thoughts, but I think a good analogy is like in the past, it was like mono, right? Mono channel. You could be mono channel and it works. But now you need to be surround system, right? You need
Yeah,
to work,
I agree.
you need to be on all, but all of the speakers need to be singing the same song,
That's a
right?
great analogy.
Yes, very well. I would totally agree with you both guys. And what I would say is that actually, no, we are not like what Roberto mentioned is, of course, we are talking about AI context, ChatGPT visibility and stuff like that. But if you really dominate the internet, the results that you get, the fruits that you will grasp is very like dynamic and multiple. You don't if you optimize like for all internet, if you optimize your brand visibility, your reputation, so your reviews and stuff like that, your SEO would boost, your brand reputation will boost, your brand visibility will boost in different engines, and if you're like nail chat, like it's like a real long-term game, if you are improving your AI visibility, the results that you will get will be long-term, you'll get a lot of different pluses, you could say, that you'll attract, leads in multiple years in the future.
100%.
Okay, that's great. So I think we have to be closing this, right? How do we get more practical? Because I think what we've done is I think we've convinced the audience that AI, they have the clinic owners, they have to be prepared. I think we have an actionable plan on understanding where are we. I just want to make a quick clarification, which is I think it's very important to select the correct prompts. And I wanted to ask you, Rokas, before when we had SEO or things of SEM agencies, and there were tools specifically on, you could say like, I want to I think, and this is something that Jean-Marc is brilliant at, which is if you have a very great person to optimize, they can optimize. But how do you make sure you're optimizing for the correct thing, right? For example, some of the prompts that you showed us, I think Jean-Marc said like I don't want to be number one in that one. Like that's it. That's not what a patient is asking for. And if you have an agency that doesn't understand their patients, let's say for example, like one of the things that have been successful, that has been very important for Jean-Marc was to really understand their patients in Clínica Vallejo and understand talking to patients. What prompt would you maybe making? So I want to ask you, Rokas and Jean-Marc, how do you make sure that you're selecting the correct prompts that you want to be selecting?
Well, I would say that it's very hard to make sure, like nail everything like 100%, correct. And that's where volume comes in, where you analyze, like you don't need to optimize for all of them, because if you just send like 100 of prompts, of course, at least 10 or 20, the most important ones will appear, So when you're analyzing and monitoring multiple of these prompts, you like this whole prioritization is getting like not so important, but of course you need to nail at least some of them. So what we do and what we usually recommend is basically look at your own like Google keywords, so that will be like the first step for you, just to double check them, and we have like our own internal algorithm that do everything for you, but you could, if you're already like working with SEO agents or stuff like that, you could ask them, what are the most important keywords that you're tracking. The second step would be just go to your Google Analytics and see what type of queries there is right there that people are finding your website, and based on that, you could also like what we do is basically translating the keywords into prompts, in more like conversational like questions that your users are asking for, So instead of like best clinics in X city, you would just like add some additional sentences or a recommendation. What is the best clinics for like single moms, or something like that. So we add like custom variations. We do that like in singular and plural manner, we'll change and include cities, countries. We would include some subjective keywords like best, top, and some of these like list type
Mhm.
prompts, and we would just generate a huge variation of these prompts. We would cover all of these prompts daily or weekly. We'll get like multiple, like thousands of data points, and based on that, we'll get aggregated data. Because if you just do analysis once, if you just send prompts once, of course you won't get representative data. But when you do this analysis audits like every time, after weeks or months, you'll still get really valuable data that you could analyze and optimize for.
I think there's a fundamental law of business physics, which is you need to understand as a business owner, why is it that patients, clients, whatever you want to call them, why are they going to you, right? Why are they going to you? And doctors have this amazing space, which is a consultation. In the consultation, they know exactly, they can ask, they have a free, they get paid, right, to get data from their customers, right? It's very few businesses have this, right? So if you reverse engineer, okay, why do patients come to me? Why me and not somebody else, right? And then you reverse that, you go back a step, and then you do what Roka said. You put it into keywords. Okay, so what are the keywords? And then you cross check that against the actual data on SEMrush or any other keyword analytics tool. And then you see where the overlap is, and then you complement it with what you've learned in the consultation, which is it's pure gold, right? That is the ground truth. That is the fundamental understanding that can differentiate you from all the 1,000 other doctors that claim to do what you do, right? And then you reverse engineer that into prompts, and then you got the full chain, right? You just got to be disciplined about it, and you just got to like really listen when your patients are talking, because they're giving you gold for you to grow your business. You're just not seeing it.
Yeah, wonderful. Like what you mentioned. And what I would just add is that you won't only get the prompts, but you will get content ideas, you would get ads ideas, you will get a lot of different stuff, because all of these questions, are basically interlined with your business logic that you're like working
Yeah.
on.
The marketing agency is never going to know your patients as well as you do. You need to educate the marketing agencies on what your patients actually are. Like they'll have general data, but you need to niche down if you're going to win. If you're just serving everybody, you're not serving anybody.
Yeah. And I would go a step further. One of the things that we do in Flow is that uh, we talk to patients, and we talk to patients also to the doctor, right? Because the doctor sometimes they don't know what they know, right? Like when you actually talk to patients, they actually they tell you the data that Jamar was saying. Like sometimes people don't they pay one of the best signals of why people are selecting you is the money you receive. But sometimes you don't know what they value. Maybe it's the parking, maybe it's the secretary, maybe it's the other things that you don't know. It wasn't in your training. Rokas, I wanted to ask you like a very practical question, following up on the imaginary scenario that you're a plastic surgeon in Mexico, and maybe in your next life. Let's say you only do want to do plastic surgery all day, every day, in the morning, and you know what to do. How would you select a partner or an agency to help you dominate? What would you be looking for? A person that's old, a young person that understands this, and a big agency, a small agency? Would you hire a person in-house? Because like marketing, medical marketing is complex now. It's complex. You have SEO, you have content, and no agency is the best at everything, right? Uh, how and this is now a new thing that you have to introduce that requires learning and becoming the best and becoming very competitive. How would you select, or what principles would you do in order to select a team, either in-house or out-house, out of your clinic, in order to have the best marketing strategy and execution?
Yeah, so like the first step I would say is that I would make sure that the agency owner's name is Roberto.
Thank you for
Uh,
your endorsement.
yeah, and if it matches, I think I would go with that. Okay, but jokes aside, of course, I mostly I work really like close to like a lot of agencies because like our tool is used by marketers in general, but like a bigger part of it that people are using is like real agencies that are already like doing paid ads, SEO, and stuff like that. And what we see like the common patterns is basically it really depends like on how in depth like the strategy that we could create, so how we are spending their time, how we are doing like the initial steps, communicating with client, like getting the strategy done, getting the roadmap for the full marketing plan and stuff like that. So as you mentioned, like we're good, I really like this, and it's not very common that you will like spend time with customers, you spend time like getting ideas from clients, and spending some time in just basically understanding what we are doing, so and it really overlaps with many different things from like prompts to ads to content, that you will create. If you can speak in the words of your client, that will be your like leverage between like multiple different agencies. Your ad creatives will be better, your content will be more insightful, and your prompts will be clearer, when you will optimize for AI.
Yeah,
Guys,
I
I
wanted
gotta
to ask
jump. I gotta jump, but you guys should keep talking. Great talking, Rokas. Take care.
thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Take care.
Thank you for noticing, because if not, we will be losing our time. So, Rokas, one of the things that I've been using AIClicks, and one of the things that I think it's very useful is first going about the emotion of being a clinic owner or an agency. You start understanding like where you are. I think that's a very big thing, like understanding where you are, then understanding where your competition is, and having data to create a hypothesis on why they are there, and then saying, okay, what is my plan for me to get there? Okay. But one of the things that I notice is that it's a little bit overwhelming, that amount of things that you have to be doing. Like you're like, I have to be on Reddit, I have to be on directories, I have to create content, I should be on social media. And I think your tool that you created helps you prioritize on saying, okay, maybe I should be start doing this. But I wanted to ask you for some practical advice on how to do this. Should you hire an agency and let them do everything and create a plan and supervise it? Should you like be participate in the strategy and make them do specific tasks over time, per hour or per task? How would you be going around this problem?
Yeah, so it totally depends, on the niche and the current results, like that you have, and of course on your marketing budget as a clinic, as a business, So from my own experience by speaking with different agencies, some of them just prioritize particular channels, So it might be like you want to optimize for AI, but only what you do is basically doing Reddit, for example, because you will see that the Reddit is number one source. It gets like the most traction. It's also like helpful not only for AI but Google as well, because these like Reddit threads are doing well on classical like organic search. And yeah, what we do is basically generate a plan, for example, for Reddit that you will do, you will create content that you will try to make sure that your like comments are at the top and stuff like that. So, where I would look for is for like strategy at first, just to see what like audit your site, and see what are the top channels that you're doing, what are the strategies that you or your like business owners already, your competitors are already doing, and seeing how you're doing well, and based on that, I will make actions, with like agency recommendations, what type of content or what type of actions that I should create. Is it like a Reddit? Is it my organic search, organic content, or like different listicle type articles? So I would say, it's like very unique for each business, and it's neat because like a lot of AI search is really showing the data, you know, on how well you did before, what your marketing was before. If you're doing like SEO before, if you are doing like content, organic content, if you are doing like if you are trying to optimize for reviews, for example, on Trustpilot, like G2, Reddit, or like different medical niches, medical niche websites, because it really adds up, and if you're like, we are ignoring marketing for the past 2 or 3 years, of course you will need to do a lot. But for many businesses that we see and we work with, and of course we as a very unique platform attract only the most forward looking businesses, because we are already like looking in ChatGPT and AI, and it's like such a new field that many different competitors are sleeping right now, because we don't think that maybe we just didn't just starting to doing ads, and now we are trying to optimize for AI, it doesn't make sense. So we have like a bias right here, because we are working with most like technologically advanced businesses, but for them, in most cases, there's like one true channels that you really need to work with, because if you're already doing that, you're doing really well already, in ChatGPT and Perplexity. So that's a couple of thoughts that I got.
Thank you. Rokas, thank you very much for your time and for your ideas and efforts on doing this tool and helping us understand and guide the clinic owners in LATAM that want to grow. Just one, let's say, for example, I'm a listener of this podcast or video podcast, and I want to continue learning about this, and I don't know have a lot about this. What are some recommendations on channels or tools that you would be following in order to stay on top on what's happening and having good information in order to make good decisions?
Yeah, so if you're like already, I create a lot of content, on the topic. So if you want to hear more, I have like my own like LinkedIn channel, LinkedIn account where I share almost daily, all the news and stuff around that. I have my own YouTube channel where I go more in depth into analytical side and
We're going to
explore
link
the
it
core concept and
in the
tools.
in the show comments.
Yes, wonderful. So that's a couple of like links for you, to check it out. I would say like classical SEO tools as well, like Ahrefs and SEMrush. We also give you like a lot of insights. We do a lot of like analytical analysis and researches on the topic, on the top questions that users are asking. So I would really check Ahrefs and SEMrush blog and their real latest research on AI visibility, on ChatGPT and Perplexity trends, and how people are searching for, because based on that you can get like a lot of interesting insights, for your own business and channels.
Excellent, Rokas. Thank you very much, and that's very useful. And we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much for your time. And we're also going to be linking the Rokas's product that helps clinics in our show notes, so you can find it. It's AIClicks.com, right?
.io, yes.
AIClicks.io. So
Yes.
thank you very much, Rokas, and have a great day. Hopefully we'll meet in person too. Okay.
Thank you. It was
Take
very
care.
pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.